Good afternoon, and welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. We have a representative from the state of Fort Smith, Arkansas, and he's at the 78th District of Mr. Representative Jay Richardson. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Well, we're trying to make things work. I understand it's hot in Kansas City. It's hot in St. Louis. I don't know what the temperature is in Fort Smith.
It's hot. It's hot in Fort Smith as well. I think it's over 100 degrees here.
Well, well, let's do this. Representative Jay Smith, tell us what you do in Fort Smith and how long you've been in the legislature and different things you have made happen. I understand you're very busy. Most politicians are, at least they say they are. So this kind of brings us up to date to our listening audience.
So my wife and I moved back to Arkansas just about 8 or 9 years ago. And when we came back to Arkansas, we wanted to make a difference in our community and in our city and in our state. So when we moved back, my wife got on the school board and I ran for state representative. Fortunately, we both won our elections and we're both active in our respective roles. So when I'm not in the legislature, when I'm not doing the political piece, I have a couple of small businesses that I run. I do some volunteer work. Just any and everything around our community that we can get our hands on, we're typically doing.
You know, they say Arkansas is the land of opportunity. How so?
I think opportunity is all over the place, not just in Arkansas, but I think there's opportunity for people if they want it. Oftentimes people have dreams, and for whatever reason they choose not to go after those dreams or make something happen. I'm one individual, my wife is another, who had dreams and ideas, and we didn't wait for opportunity to knock. We just kind of kicked the door open and went after it.
Well, you have a daughter that's very involved too, I understand.
Yeah, my daughter, who is a recent graduate from Harding University, I say recent, she graduated about 2 years ago. She graduated and then wanted to get into corporate America. She did that for about a year and then said, Dad, I want to do something different. She did that, and just so happened I had come across a business that was for sale. So she and I partnered, and she is owner of Bliss Cupcake here in Fort Smith, and she's been operating that for the last 2+ years.
Okay, I say back, my father was born in Ketcher, Arkansas, back on June the 3rd, 1900. So had he lived, he would have been 122 years old this year. It's an incident that happened back in Ketcher, the Crawford County, back in 1923. Could you kind of enlighten us of what you know about that to bring us up to date, or our listeners up to date, what took place then?
Yeah, my understanding is that there were several families that lived in the Ketcher, Arkansas area, African American families, and I can't remember what the cause was, but for some reason there was an incident that happened and caused the white residents to raise up in an uproar and try to come and take the land from African Americans in the Ketcher area. Unfortunately, they succeeded, and you know there was some death. There was some people that were impacted because of that. In an area that was once a vibrant Black community no longer exists this day.
Well, also, we have in the Midwest Southeast Region Conference in Kansas City. That's on the 16th and the 17th of September. And most of it is centered around Arkansas, about that incident that happened there, the killing that happened there with F.E. Latimer that you had it was three African Americans that was accused and two were executed. I would think that would be in Little Rock, Arkansas. But this has been ongoing for years, and the people have decided, a lot of people have roots in Arkansas, and they decided that in Kansas City on the 16th and the 17th of September at the Embassy Suites, they will have a conference. And unfortunately, you'll be into your race then, and that's the day that the African American Legislative Black Caucus is having their caucus, and I think you're in charge of that.
Yeah, we'll be having that here in Fort Smith, actually, starting on September 15th. But in thinking about the whole catcher situation, it's amazing that was something that I wasn't even familiar with until the last year or so. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best kept secrets here in this area of the state. So I was happy when it was revealed to me and some of my family members about what had happened so long ago. But with regards to our Arkansas Legislative Black Caucus, we will be having a retreat here in Fort Smith on the September 15th for that into that weekend.
Okay, what are you guys? What's top on the agenda for that weekend that you'll be, coordinating?
Yeah, so we'll be talking about a couple of specific things. We actually are called back into a special session here in the next 2 weeks, and we'll be addressing how we're going to spend, some overage in funds and how we can use that money. We're going to be fighting to make sure we can get that money back into our teachers who so desperately need it. But with regards to our retreat that we're having, there's a couple of things that we'll be addressing, and that's we're going to look at solar and how that impacts our communities. We're going to continue to look and work with how do we improve our judicial system, and how do we change the course, or how do we change the issues that we have here in the state of Arkansas with regards to people being incarcerated. We've got a huge problem here that we tend to throw people in jail we're mad at instead of the people that we're scared of. So we're trying to change that whole mentality, and that'll be another topic that we'll begin to discuss in our retreat.
Well, the makeup in Missouri is small as far as state representatives, state senators. What is the situation in Fort Smith or Arkansas?
So Fort Smith, in the state of Arkansas, each representative is we're representing roughly 30,000 people. So in the Fort Smith area, we've got 3 delegates. So there's 2 Republicans and then myself as a Democrat, and we represent the city of Fort Smith in 3 different districts. Currently, my district is 78, but that will change at the beginning of the year to District 49. And the changes in the numbers were due to our recent census that was just taken.
Well, that's something that the Secretary of State, seemed like in all states, seem to have control on what's what, who's in this district or who's in that district. Is that true there too? Yeah,
there was actually a committee that was put together, and then after that committee submitted their thoughts of how the districting should work, then it went on to the main committee, which consisted of the governor, the attorney general, and the Secretary of State, and they basically stamped the approval of what those maps looked like. And as a lot of areas in the United States, there was some significant idea that there was some gerrymandering, and some communities of color were significantly impacted and even left out in some areas from obtaining the representation that they need. So I know that there's a couple of lawsuits here in the state of Arkansas, and I'm sure in other states across the country. So we'll just kind of wait and see how those all pan out.
What the recent thing that the Supreme Court had on, we're talking about abortions, we're talking about that, has that really impact, or at least just the idea, not only Fort Smith, but the state of Arkansas, in your opinion?
Well, for Arkansas, in our government, in state government, the House of Representatives is made up of 75 Republicans and 25 Democrats, and in the Senate, I think it's 28-5 or something like that. But we are considered a super minority in terms of political parties for the Democratic Party. And there was a huge push in our last legislative session to make Arkansas a very pro-life state. and they were able to succeed with several bills that passed that we were adamantly opposed to. Our Attorney General had even set up a trigger law. So as soon as Roe v. Wade was actually overturned, that all of these laws would actually go into effect immediately, and that Arkansas would become a pro-life state where abortion would be completely outlawed.
Well, with the numbers you just stated, would that make Arkansas a red state?
I would say yes, Arkansas is a deep red state.
Same way with Missouri, okay?
Yeah.
Some things you might want to add that I know that we really appreciate the time you've given us, and whatever you can get out in the time you got left, we would appreciate to enlighten our people that you got listeners from all over. This is on YouTube, Facebook, Apple TV, smartphone, iPhone. We have 5 to 6 podcasters that broadcast us throughout 5 countries in America, I guess you would say. So anything you want to add to it, we're also wishing you luck in your fundraiser, which is taking place today. So I guess I kind of use a little seniority on you to get you to be on the show today.
Yeah, you didn't give me a choice, so that's what you're supposed to do. No, I think the thing that all people need to really realize is that all politics are local, and regardless of what we see on the news and what we see going across the country, individuals who truly want to make an impact in their community and their city need to get involved in local politics, whether that's at the city board of directors or a mayor race or justice of the peace, or even at the state level as a state representative or a state senator. These are things that directly impact the communities you live in, and you see those things instantaneously. So I would tell any and everybody that if you truly want to make a difference, all politics are local, and get involved locally, and then see where that drives you. As far as I'm concerned, any and all support I can get from across the country, or specifically from your listeners, feel free to shoot me a note at electjrichardson@gmail.com, or check my Facebook at State Representative J. Richardson, District 78.
I've run across a lot of people that are from have roots in Arkansas, and most of them said they'll be listening today. We hope so. But on the 16th and the 17th of September here in Kansas City, you got a lot of your relatives will be coming from all over. We even have at-large board members, and sorry that a lot of people ask me, even from California, ask me, well, you're going to be there. So unfortunately, you into his caucus that weekend. So just appreciate this idea that hopefully they're listening also. So anytime you have to leave us, we appreciate the short time you are providing us today.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you for having me on, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the future.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, listeners, that was Jay Richardson. He is a state rep for Arkansas, the 78th district. That's Fort Smith. And we got some other important news that we're going to cover, some issues, and we're going to bring on our folks with the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, and we'll just take it from here and go into the different important, no-nonsense type news he wants to bring to you in addition to other people. Now, before we get into that, if somebody is listening and they want to text something or ask the questions, what should they do?
Well, MC, thank you for letting me be a part of the program. And I was very impressed with your representative that in a very part of his life, he committed, to do something. He was successful in getting it done. And also as a business owner, as a business organization with Chamber of Commerce, commend him with his daughter, them in their own business, and lived in Rock, Arkansas before, and I know it's a bug in city and state capital there. I commend them on that. But here, this past week, there's a lot of things going on around the country and in our state also. And you mentioned the abortion issue. That is something that everyone is talking about. And especially the fact that women really should demonstrate, around the country here in St. Louis. I'm doing Kansas City, and I think this is going to be a hot button issue going into the elections in November. That Republican Party may have the issues in trying to take control of the House Representative and also the Senate, because now I feel that a woman, at all times, has control of her own body. We all as men, I know you have a hard problem telling a woman what she can and cannot do. And as a man, as Scott is, and no matter what Scott, his wife, working tomorrow, and he understands happy wife, happy life. And so right now, that the Supreme Court kind of made a hot potato, a hot firecracker go off, I should say, that's creating a turmoil across the country, and that a lot of people right now are upset about that. So I think that that's something going to carry on into the way past November. Until some changes are made.
Well, we forgot to ask State Representative Jay Richardson about the upcoming election, but we also got the same thing here in Missouri, so you can enlighten our folks. We have a lot of people, sometimes they're registered, they don't 100% go out and vote, and that's very essential. Kind of bring us up to date what's happening there, what the people should be doing.
Well, for one, as we all say, all the elections, especially as Steve said, all of them, all these are local. Well, I'm quite sure no matter where you are, you have some local politics, and as well as local politics. This past week, my mayor, Deshaun Jones, and your mayor, Quentin Lucas, were invited to the White House to be part of a signing ceremony with them that had passed previously. That's very important to all of our people in our state of Missouri and around the country, which is trying to deal with this gun issue, which is a very hot issue, trying to control crime. Unfortunately, in our state of Missouri, we are a state that does not require you to be licensed to carry, and so I can carry you here on a regular basis. I know I probably can see also that people are very, very, very unhinged, but I know in Kansas City, especially here in St. Louis, in metropolitan areas, that the young people are just killing left and right. You look at the police reports, is out there, kind of follow the ages. Normally, that below 30 years of age, or normally those just that age group, that's pretty much how they're doing most of the shooting. And that's unfortunately a bad scenario.
Well, the difference between them always kind of teasing, maybe not chastising about St. Louis being second to Kansas City in size, but also we got Springfield, we got St. Joe, and et cetera. And what do the people? How do you really? How the best way to put this? I guess I'll say inspire is educate and orientate the people to get out to register, and more importantly, to vote.
Well, I know here in St. Louis, and also around the state of Missouri, there are several agencies. Like one is the League of Women Voters that's always actively doing things. Anyway, that's always actually having voter registration drives. And if anybody can go to your election board at any point, go to libraries, you can do that. And a lot of times they have some voter registration drives where you can be out and about in your malls, and they have tables set up. You can sign and be able to vote. And I think one of the things so important that a lot of people like to complain. Everybody has an opinion, but I tell you, if you don't vote, your opinion does not matter. And right now, as I did on my show today, with my Chamber of Commerce, we had several topics that we were discussing, but most of the things that we discussed, involve our legislators, on a national level and on a state level, But something you mentioned with the nephew there, that is universal. In local politics is where we make your changes at. And I know here in Missouri, unfortunately for us, okay, now usually we're unfortunate, in our Republican race to replace Senator Roy Blunt, who was Senator for a long time, I mean, Senator years gone by, is retiring, and there's a race now, oh my God, and there's at least 30 candidates or more that's running now to replace him. And I just won't call the gentleman's name, one former governor. He has put out several commercials that's been very, 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 well, it gives people's attention. That's what is in politics. And sometimes you say, all publicity, any publicity bad or good is still publicity, but you get your name out there. So he's been discussed. We have an attorney general and there are some other people, the same reps, the senators who all campaign, for that. And that's been here primarily all on the Republican side. And the thing there is that we have Senator, State Representative, I think she's from Kansas City, from Right MC, maybe her name, that she was trying to seek the endorsement of our former President Donald Trump. And but she does have an endorsement of what is his name? Our senator right now, who will be our senator in the fall, has endorsed her. But right now, people that's out front are trying to be out, but I said that the former governor is in front right now, and so people right now, trying to knock him off. And something that was very interesting. One of our leaders of the party or leaders of the state for years gone by, who I guess is the godfather of the Republican Party here in St. Missouri, John Danforth. I knew him very, very well. I went to know his campaign and also the political staff. Well, it seems as though he created a gentleman, we all know this, Clarence Thomas, and he also created Josh Hawley. And so now people are saying that he now wants to have a gentleman run as an independent candidate, Mr. Wood. And so now that's an independent candidate. So it seems to be that the election for replace Senator Roy Blunt will be a very tested election. And right now the primary, in August, so the Republican nominee would be, and also on the Democratic side, we have not as loud race. Okay, we have one on the Republican side, but we have a lady from St. Louis that's from the Bush, then has a Bush family, Trudy Bush Valentine, she's running, and another gentleman by the name of Lyles. But there are several other people that has garnered as much attention. Usually, I know Lyles, I think, is from the Kansas City area and in this area. And so now I know we're going to show together last week. I know people incorporated endorsed Trudy Valentine, Bush Valentine, and I know in St. Louis the black group here in St. Louis, but they endorsed the Hammond. I don't pronounce it the right way, but they have endorsed Mr. Boots. Okay, so right now. In the primary, so at the end of the day, it will be a hot contested election now with the campaign that Ms. Bush is running, Ms. Valentine, I should say. She's trying to highlight the fact that she is a nurse and that she's a female, and that she's on the side of abortion rights, activists. The activists, that's one, trying to get Roe versus Wade back into law, or codified back into law, and being a senator. So again, those are some of the topics there. And also, I mentioned to you, there's something that we all talking about around the country. Not around the country, around the world. Most recently, we were all, but that's this week, I should say. I remember the president and vice president Harris highlighted a recent event that took place in NASA and that was the launch of the James. I should say the launch, James launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. But this was launched a little while back because he finally got up into space. And this is like an $8 billion project that was put together, and I think it started off back in 2010. But this project had lingered, I should, for a number of years. In 2018, I should say that the NASA, the powers that be there, needed someone that could take over leadership of that, and they tapped a gentleman who happens to be a double graduate of the HBCU Howard University in the last one. And he's also tobacco sharecropper's son, the head of this project. And the gentleman's name is Mr. Gregory Robinson. And actually he's a black man. And this is something that you have not heard being discussed, okay, about the attributes of this great man that right now has changed the way we look at space for the rest of our lives.
Let's go back, Jack Danford, that doesn't take the claim about the Purina Dog Company as far as in his family. He was the one, how important it for us, that introduced the name of Clarence Thomas, who was a judge down in Boot Hills, who is now the Supreme Court Justice. And Jack Danford became very prominent, but he's the one that myself and another gentleman conceived the idea of the Greater Kansas City Black Chamber of Commerce, and that was back in 1984. But then when Clarence Thomas got in there, you get the Anita Hill situation, which grew worldwide attention, but even with Clarence Thomas, the interracial type marriage, and that still holds true today, that a lot of people have not forgiven anybody for allowing Clarence Thomas to be there, but he's been in there for the longest, and he seemed to vote whatever the conservative side wants him to do. That's what we take it here, and a lot of people are not too proud. Before you answer that question, why is it that Republicans seem to concentrate to really get out the vote more so than the Democrats?
Well, take the last question first, okay. Most times in politics, issues drives elections. And right now, the Republicans, let's take, we talked about the abortion issue. But ever since the Supreme Court decided on Roe versus Wade, the Republican Party had chipped away for the last 50 years to get that abolished. And so the Democrats organize and do things, then they sit back. But the Republicans seem to constantly never stop organizing, never stop promoting, doing things, and Democrats seem to kind of slow down a little bit. And so with Justice Thomas, I don't know too many blacks who want to speak too many good things about him. I know some people here knew him before he became Justice Thomas, and for a while they tried to, say good things about him, okay, but they had to kind of change. And I think most recently, not only he has been noticed for his activism on the Supreme Court, but his wife, Jenny Thomas, now has become a hot button issue related to the recent overthrow of our government, attempted overthrow. They call it insurrection, or you can call it tyranny. You can call it what you want, okay? But anytime you go to the United States Capitol and the Confederate flag Capitol, that's called tyranny, in other words. So now she has been to be a part of that group that was trying to organize that, and naturally, I use this analogy saying that most people are familiar with roaches. Nobody's lying, but you go into the room, turn the light on, they all disappear. They start hiding. But right now, this hearing is going to take place. I was in House of the committee on January 2nd taking place. That we have had several public hearings on television, prime time, on all the networks, And a lot has been uncovered. Matter of fact, today we had Karen Hubbard, whom we all familiar with today, on, and I kind of asked her the question, what was the most surprising thing to her about what was been going on? And she was saying, which I kind of had to her, that so much went on behind the scenes that there's certain people who are involved, and like her, that now that as this is unraveling, that you have elected representatives who were in the House and the Senate who participated in this and were part of it, and were now very required, hoping that they're not hanging out. Some who asked for pardon, but they were involved, because anytime you do something against the government, okay, you have to be elected representative. But that was something that was passed into law for the 30 years, because you still in the federal side, you could not be elected to the House or the Senate. So a lot of the people right now who are present in office right now are praying and hoping that their name doesn't pop up. But the hearings have been very enlightening, I should say, to a lot of people.
Very unfortunately that no, if you want to say black, Negro, African American has ever won a statewide position in the state of Missouri.
True. I think the last one we had somebody that even came close, okay, was a gentleman that we all know, Alan Wheat, who's a former congressman from...
Right, yeah, Alan Wheat, he was a state rep, and a very good friend of mine, and you're right, he ran, and they figured that he would be a shoo-in, but because he had, what's the guy who had been the U.S. Congressman for the longest from Kansas City, Bolin. Well, his wife, Jimmy, went by the name of Jimmy. He took Alan Wheat around to all the car plants and everything. They got him as one of the first people to be elected to Congress. Now, that was second to the people who controlled it in St. Louis of the Clay family.
Yeah, well, he came here, he was here, he was with him. He came by my office, and the funny part about that, MC, that in that election, so much fanfare prior to the election, but on election day, blacks didn't show up. A lot of people didn't show up. And I don't think since that time we have had any black person to come in to even be. I think he was nominated, if memory serves right. To run, okay, I don't know if he won the nomination back those days or not, okay, but I just know that expectations did not manifest themselves, and he kind of faded away into the sunset, political, junkyard, not junkyard, not the thing to say, but when he just faded away.
I've been accusing the people here, like most of our state reps and also the few state senators, they seem to come to St. Louis like, to us, they spend more time in St. Louis than they do in Kansas City. I don't know if you guys have a way of attracting them. We had two guests we'll talk about later on in the show, but it's like they have more to offer, they have more committee or type of political activity that seem to draw the people really to just go down that, we'll say 250 miles from Kansas City to St. Louis.
Well, you see, there's some thought to that, and I'm going to talk to that. Here in St. Louis, for many years, a organization going back to, I think, like the 1958, built up a great base, okay, of state representatives, state reps, and stuff during the years, back in the Democratic years when the Democrats controlled, the legislature, in Missouri, they were control the House and the Senate. Like your nephew said, here in Missouri, the Republicans have a supermajority in the House and the Senate. But to answer your question about the politicians, we would tend, this was prior to Mr. Cleveland being elected, but they would come to St. Louis because they would have more Democratic organizations where we had more elected officials in in different areas as far as like different black mayors and some of the small towns. And I think that attracted them to come here, for fundraising and stuff like that. I think that's the thing that you mentioned. He got a fundraiser going on right now, so I think that's why he can raise money here better probably than he could in Kansas City.
Well, I know this is St. Louis. They didn't know how to put on hospitality type situations.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put on a good thing here. This past week, the National Chamber of Commerce, a national convention, pre-convention, had a cruise in the Chicago Harbor that was very, very successful. Whereas we had about almost 300 people was on the cruise, and I went out into the harbor there and found some nice calm waters, and they had a nice big off. And there was talk today about possibly us having a cruise, similarly here in St. Louis. Not we can go out into the lake like Lake Michigan there, but if we cruise up and down the Mississippi River here, because we got some cruise boats here in St. Louis. We cruise the river for dinner cruises. I'm not sure. Do you have those in Kansas City?
What's that now?
Dinner cruise boats on the river.
Well, they used to have something, cruises on the Missouri River, but I haven't heard them doing anything in quite a few years. But I was just thinking back to St. Louis. Congressman Waters is from St. Louis.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, the young lady that you want to get on your show, Miss. She just got a store on the Walk of Fame. Oh my God! We ask about her all the time. Oh my God! But she's also from Kinloch also. It seems over there that there's a lot of Kinloch, a little small itty bitty part of St. Louis.
Was that Jennifer Lewis?
Yes, Jennifer Lewis, right? Yes.
Okay.
She just got this week a straw on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so we congratulate her, on their recent accomplishment. Be there, beautiful young lady, saying that she came from Kinloch in St. Louis, from St. Louis area.
Now, go ahead.
But that's when Maxine Waters, who's a congresswoman from California, who's been a firebrand for a lot of people, that want to attack her. But she gets reelected time and time again because she takes care of her people out there.
Well, that's true. St. Louis is, we talk about Kansas City, but you're talking about entertainers, musicians, actresses, thespians, whatever you want to call it. The name is thespians. I thought somebody was tie-tongue, but it wasn't. That was for actors. That you guys have been very productive in getting people out. Well, I guess one of the top people is Cedric the Entertainer, and he's known all over in that St. Louis area.
Oh yeah, right now he's not aware. He has with the TV program on NBC, CBS, I should say. They call it The Neighborhood.
It is CBS here too. Okay.
Yeah, and I know previously he's been, when he called Cedric Entertainer, he was a comedian, but really he got his real break. Okay, when you're working with Steve Harvey program, we should have a sitcom also, and he was part of that team. And so Cedric is also very much giving back to our community. He's very much involved. He's coming back to St. Louis, working with some of the hospitals here. They work with his mother to keep her sick, and every year he comes back, and involves himself, for some fundraisers, he comes home quite a bit.
Well, you guys got to be congratulated on that. I know that people are listening to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City with the godfather of, I guess, Black Missouri politics after the Clays got defeated. We'll get into that. But we're lucky to have you here and your background, not only your wisdom and experience, but it's so good to have people that stay up to date and doing their research and really trying to let our people know what's going on. We have to do something how to inspire. We say we educate and orientate the get our young people, black people I'm talking about, more involved in the political arena or in life, period, instead of killing one another?
Man, I think one of the things that I do is that I love our city, I love our state, I love my people, and one of the things that I try to do is to stay abreast what's going on, because one of the things from my wife when I first met her, knowledge is power, and it's not hard to get knowledge nowadays. You got to read a lot, listen a lot, and just kind of keep your ears with what's going on. One thing I'd like to say into here is that the Missouri Chamber of Commerce is very proud to say that we have a project in Haytown, Missouri that we've been working on for a couple of years now. And it's a project that once it's completed, we own by the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, to be like something unusual, unheard of that Haytown, one of the rural areas, we are developing some affordable housing. And from that, next project would be a supermarket, a grocery store. In that area, probably more like a grocery store, not a supermarket. Most around the state and around the country, in the big black neighborhoods, not just black neighborhoods, now you have food deserts. And so we're trying to create some opportunities. And all this we'll be doing will be generate around 5G technology, how it works in the rural areas. And also, we're doing a lot of demand also special retail space.
Ira, you're shifting out there.
Okay, well, I guess my voice is sort of... hold on a second.
You've been talking all day.
Well, I've been talking all day. Well, anyway, I was saying that the project, we signed some contracts and we started doing the surveys this past week. Really, it's 2 weeks ago now, I should say. Right after the 4th of July weekend, we got started on the project there. I'll be going down the next week or so to look at what we're doing and, and kind of visibility of the community. But we got some new members coming in from the Kansas City area also that's joining our chamber. And so we plan to also bring back something that we started, last year, and was very, very much one of our programs that everyone was excited about, and that was the Blockchain Academy program that we had, the Blockchain Academy to the National Chamber of Commerce, where we were providing scholarships to anywhere from $45,000, for our own course, an online course, I should say. And the beauty of it was, once you complete the course and get your certifications, you have a job waiting for you. They pay you at home $85,000, and this was during the pandemic. It was very popular away from home then, but it's still now. Or you could work in a corporation someplace and make $200,000 going into office space. So that program had to be back and retooled. And I talked to Ryan Williams, who's the head of that, and I guess communicated this past week. And we was looking at having that going up sometime in the month of August. And that would be something that would be very helpful in helping our young people, not just young people, but create some good jobs. Because in cryptocurrency, there's a need for educated people how to work, how to be in that area of expertise. And the best part about this program, MC, is that once you've been complete your courses, you get a certification yourself. And that's like having a degree. And that when you get some certification nowadays, that allows you to be able to actually go someplace and get a job, and a professional job, and looking forward to getting that program going again.
Let's step back. You could talk about Haytie and also Haytie Hike. And one of our people, one of our legal advisor, Jackie Towns McGee, she's got some health issues now, but she's going to be one of our at-large board members for the state of Missouri as far as in our up-and-coming thing with United Minority Media Association. But let's go back, and I talked to some relatives in California that they used to say 40 acres and a mule. Well, we understand the mule is a Missouri product, but all over the country, they are still trying to come in and take advantage by buying up the land. So it's no different like the land was stolen from, they said the Native American was the Indian, but I understand black folks here before the Native American, but they seized the land. That is something that is taking place throughout this country. I think the same thing is occurring in St. Louis, where they're trying to get the people in the so-called property areas, they claim, to buy up their land and then they'll redevelop it. Is that taking place? Are people trying to trick the people into selling their properties in St. Louis and Ferguson?
Well, MC, I can't speak for Ferguson selling, but right now Ferguson is probably one of the most upcoming cities in the state of Missouri under the leadership of Mary Ella Jones, who was on our program a couple of weeks ago. And right now, the city is creating new jobs. The city, the black community out there is thriving. The people, are thriving. The ones that were there, are doing better. Matter of fact, we had one of the recent councilwomen was elected there. Was one of the people that did work in that campaign. Ms. Noah, Councilwoman Noah, and they recently unveiled a park that started a couple of years ago. That's now in that area. So Ferguson is going quite well with the land that they have, but now here in the St. Louis area, back in Kansas City, a lot of the land that's here, blacks formerly owned the land, their parents owned the land, and the cities came up with different schemes, to get them away from the land. They kind of forced them out, so to speak. And so now we had a sale on the city steps where the city of St. Louis has too much land now. The city itself has too much land, and so now they're trying to they're trying to develop, but Kansas City has a better plan there. Working with the community, when they tear something down, they have something to go back. I will say that our current mayor, Mr. Shara Jones, she had a program that she initiated. Because most of the development in St. Louis in the central west end of downtown, and so she's forcing the developers, I do use the word force to the table, if they're going to develop in St. Louis downtown, they also have to make some type of donation, some kind of stuff to the black community, which is normally North St. Louis, to have them also benefit from the developments that's going to parts of the city. So I think that'll go a long ways, in making a difference in our black communities.
Well, let's go back to when Ferguson made international attention right after the death of Michael Brown. What would you say is the population of Ferguson nowadays?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I think it probably has grown since that time, and I would say probably less than 10,000, put it like that. But if you ever go there, it's a beautiful community, well kept, and people come to town. I think about out to Ferguson, and they're always blown away. Was that I didn't think this was Ferguson, and I will tell you, the area that you saw on TV during the riots, and that's what they were here in the Ferguson area. That area right now has been transformed. In fact, you're able to take a lead on some stuff there, and we got several buildings that have been built out there, and the community right now is doing great things.
Our time runs by so quickly, but we had I believed, and the feedback I got, 2 excellent shows with Freedom Inc. Freedom Inc. next Saturday, they will hold their buffet 60th anniversary, which is the oldest black-owned and controlled political organization in the country. And we have a lot of people, a lot of representation coming from St. Louis to Kansas City. So your mayor will be taking part as one of the main people coming to Kansas City. And we're trying to get more people from St. Louis to come to Kansas City. Could you kind of you got your listening audience there, see how many people we can get. Not for them, we don't want to come here and live in Kansas City, just come here for the weekend, okay?
Well, let me say this to you, MC. Our mayor and your mayor, who are two young black leaders in the country, and they have taken the lead, especially on this recent gun bill. And I know our mayor will be there, and your mayor comes back and forth, And I will say for the first time, the both cities have an excellent relationship, between the two of them, which is, and people are aware, Kansas City is the largest city in the state of Missouri, and we're number 2. And but they're working hand in hand, and I think that's a good thing politically. And also, I'm happy to say that we mentioned our state representatives and state senators here in Missouri. I said in this area, we have a gentleman by the State Senator Ryan Williams, who had been the only black male in the Senate in Jeff City, and he's up for re-election, and he will run unopposed. And so we will have him, and he will be more with us in the upcoming election, next 4 years. So we look for better things, take place, and we're looking forward to things improving, in the Jeff City, because as we all know, we are super minorities in the House and the Senate, and we will see how things we can get passed. And by the way, the House and the Senate, meaning the state of Missouri, like in Arkansas, both states have lots of money, thanks to Joe Biden, President Biden, the money that he put into all of our cities around the country, that they're not broke as they used to be, but now they're all figuring out now how can they spend their money, which is a good thing to do.
I have some that I've always heard, and they are talking about, I hope this will increase your female listener. They said a St. Louis woman wears a diamond ring. The other thing is to say the difference between the women in St. Louis and Kansas City. The women in St. Louis are different, and they know how to treat their men better than the women in Kansas City do. That's the saying, whether you heard that or not. But everybody talk about the Golden Arch in St. Louis and everything like that. So as we got a few moments left, and hopefully we'll try to get Rodney Bland and the rest of them on to kind of bring us up to date, because they're statewide or worldwide convention is going to take place next Saturday. Hopefully we can get them to give us a little wrap up. So let's kind of finish it out and just tell the people how prominent and how we're really thanking the city of St. Louis, because we know they're going to have all kind of people before they get that hour transportation deal come down I-70, 250 miles away to be in attendance to the, we hope, second to none conference of a political organization next Saturday.
Well, MC, first of all, let me say that St. Louis does not have the golden arches. That's McDonald. But the arch on the riverfront is a very beautiful silver statue. In the monument that you said there, in fact, the tallest monument in the country, at 630 feet. And that as far as women, I have to say my wife has listened to the program, and that's, I'm going to say, a happy wife, happy life, that St. Louis has some of the best women. Yes, they do.
Well, we don't want you to have to run out and buy a diamond ring so she can keep up with that saying, St. Louis women wear a diamond ring.
I will say, MC, she does have a diamond ring. So, that is true.
And she has a good taste. I'm from Missouri. You have to show me when I do get an opportunity to get some more sweet potato pies.
Oh, well, MC, I take great pride, and I will say you across the state, even around the country right now. Matter of fact, the Mayor of Ferguson, whenever my daughter comes to town, she asks her mother if Karen would be so kind to cook her a pie.
Well, the other one that was on, I watched TV last week, and Patty LaBelle used to sell a bunch of sweet potato pies.
Well, I've never tasted Patty LaBelle's, okay, but people who have tasted my wife's and tasted Patty LaBelle's pies will say my wife tastes better.
Well, I'm from Missouri, and I have to be a judge. I can't forget that she used a lot of nutmeg in her sweet potato pies or what?
The what now?
Does she use a lot of nutmeg in her sweet potato pies?
Well, MC, like any great cook, they never talk about their ingredients, okay? But I can assure you the ingredients that she uses are a little bit different than most people.
And it's an old family secret too, right?
Well, I must say it this way: it's the Karen Michelle Drayton Fowlkes secret, and I'm gonna leave it there.
So you won't get in trouble, huh? But on the same token, I really enjoyed our show today. I think our shows are always no nonsense, and hopefully we'll get more people to. And another thing, what our shows or our internet program, what have you, we need to attract more sponsors. On the same token, in order, everybody, when you go someplace, the main thing they ask you for, how much money you bring. In order for things to flourish and get more people involved, we need to get more people to invest financially, to sponsor a show or shows or whatever, and then get more listeners, and the listeners attract the sponsors.
Well, MC, that is true, and right now we appreciate people going to our website, that's Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, and see how they can get involved with things that we're doing. As Scott would always say, if you want to facts, okay, that's what we do here. We try to, if we make a mistake, on behalf of my team, Reverend Alan, Lyles, and Scott, we have, in our Super Cheyenne from the Kansas City side of the state, we always have some nice discussion along with Chuck DeBow, our executive director of the National Museum of Commerce, and we always have facts that we can stand up on, no misinformation that we have. We can stick to facts.
Well, once again, some people have asked me about how can they retrieve or listen to the shows, and if they don't get you to email them the show or something like that, tell them about the podcasting. While we got a few short minutes, I know that we'll say Reverend Scott, because he's controlling the time. He'll tell us we got to go, but in the meantime, get as much out as you possibly can, Mr. Our folks.
Well, it is 5:59, Mr. MC, but we are broadcast on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, YouTube, and generally on our website, Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, but the encoder is having trouble today. So we're on all those places, and you can get a hold of us by going to Ferguson USA, HotTalkRadio.com, and hit the contact button.
Quickly, they can call me on 816-694-2273, or take us out of here.
Well, the USA, HotTalkRadio.com, I always can be contacted by getting in contact with the MC Richardson, who's the host and creator of Guess Who's Come to Kansas City, which is going over 30 years now. He's also the founder of the United Minority Missouri Association, one of the oldest black media organizations, the oldest black media station in the country.
Thank you very much, and be sure to tune in each and every week for the best show in town, or shows. Let me make that plural. Thank you very much.
Life is there. Be safe. Wear your face mask.